Good afternoon, folks. I would like to speak about several subjects. I want to speak about poverty, employment, the southern states, corruption in our government, and what is considered corruption. Corruption is a matter of perspective. I want to talk about journalism. I'm not a journalist, but I do enjoy as a viewer, I enjoy good journalism. And as with good journalism and good movie making is something of the past. I know that we have a lot of independent journalists now because they're tired of fake media and politics within their profession that keeps them from being able to report on what they feel it's important and honest. But we do have to take a good look at what we have done as a humanity and what we're doing now. There's always going to be something better either in the past or in the future. We don't need to be so hard on ourselves, but we do need to be honest with what we're doing with journalism and with television. A lot of these programs are inappropriate, not only for children, but inappropriate for the family unit. And I've said it for a long time because I am on the conservative side, and I know that nowadays everything that we do in our privacy is being filmed. So somebody can take something I may have done in the privacy of my privacy with within my relationship with somebody to say, look, this is no angel. This is not the Christ. This is not the Virgin Mary. This is not an educated person or even somebody trustworthy. She's contradicting herself between what she's saying and her actions. I have said it before and I'll say it again. My private life is private, and although there are people who think that politicians are to be exposed for what they do in the privacy of their privacy, I'm here to tell you that I've never claimed to be a politician. The time for me to speak up about injustice publicly, meaning I made an effort and put something out there in the public, not something that was taken from me without my knowledge or permission. But the first time I made something public, as far as my opinion, was when my son Alexander was taken from me. It was done in a way that was violating my son's rights, violating my rights. It was illegal, and that's a subject that I've talked about many times, and a lot of us have talked about who have gone through the same ordeal with DHR, which is an outdated system. It's just like the bell bottoms were popular in the 70s, and then they came back again in the 90s, and they probably will come back. But if somebody were to walk around in bell bottoms right now, you would probably think that's not fashionable. But in this case, it's not necessarily fashionable or not fashionable, in that when something is dated, it's just dated. I know that I'm dated with my looks and everything. I've I've had the same style since I was in my 20s. The same way I dress, the same way, very similar way of expressing myself. And I know that there is such thing as fashionable. If my hair were to be styled a certain way, and my makeup a certain way, and my nails a certain way, I know that there's such thing as professional nails, where they're shorter and they're polished in a very fashionable color. Okay, whatever the majority of people say is fashionable, that's what people want to see on TV. And all of that, what it does is it takes away from the uniqueness of the person. So we all have a way of expressing ourselves. We all have a way of presenting ourselves and presenting whatever it is that we're presenting. I would not follow somebody into the bedroom, and I would certainly not follow somebody into the shower or into the restroom or in their privacy to put out there that they're not who they say they are. That's an invasion of privacy. And it has gone too far. It has gone too far, and it has gone to the point where people have lost their faith in God because of it. People have lost their faith in God, and they have lost their faith in people, because everything feels like we are in a movie, that we are in a video game, that we are in a game. And it's all about the winner. And you don't want to be the loser. You don't want to be the one who's being hunted. And we have a system that is based on algorithms. The computer is a very helpful resource, but it can also be very destructive. President Eisenhower warned us in his farewell speech about the scientific technological elite. And he pointed out that for every blackboard, there are so many hundreds of computers. We know that our children are being raised in front of a computer. Everything is computerized. And television is on the computer as well. Me personally, in the current situation and in the previous situation, and I don't know what my situation will be in the near future because I'm not God, but all I know is what I know, that we've been lifted up into the womb of his heart and being born of God so that we can inherit the earth. But before we can inherit the earth, we've got to be courageous and strong. And we have to stand like the Son of Man, to be lifted so that we can be delivered. And the meek shall inherit the earth, not the world. So we've got to be strong and fight the good fight without guns, without games, because God does not play games. If we're going to play anything, let's play music. And we have to overcome the world, because we're not going to inherit the world. So the end of the world is not a bad thing, because we're going to be inheriting a new earth here on earth. So I was watching a movie from back in the 50s, and those movies were very well put together. Um, even in their cursing, everything was. I'm not gonna say that censoring people is a good thing, and I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing. I'm just gonna say freedom of speech and freedom of expression is important, but we also have to have. When it comes to we're putting a movie for children, who is the audience? First of all, if the audience is perverted people, then okay, then just come out and say it. This movie is for perverted people. This movie is for wicked people. This movie is for people who like violence and sex and vulgarity. But if you're saying that a movie is for children or a movie is for the family, then you need to reconsider everything that's in it. Because you have freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of religion, freedom to put it together. But you've got to consider your audience. I have always been pro the family unit, and this is why I was attacked from different angles. I am not a whore whose goal in life is to sleep with married men. I am not addicted to sex. I am not a perverted person. What I will say is that I do speak my mind and that I stand against unethical, psychological, medical experimentation. That I stand against war with bombs and guns. And yes, I am pro-military. I believe in a strong, neutral military to genuinely protect and defend ourselves from the enemy, foreign and domestic. The way a lot of these interviews are being conducted nowadays are done in a way that irritates the person being interviewed. To put them on the spot, to push buttons, to irritate. And all of that is not constructive in the least. If you want to see an interview with such and such because you're genuinely interested in what they have to say, then that interview has to be conducted in a manner in which the journalist or whomever is interviewing is allowing the person being interviewed to speak. If you ask them a question, they need to have There's space and time, as Princess Diana put it. There's space and time in which to speak and answer the question properly without being pressured by time. I understand that an interview is going to be X amount of minutes. That can be edited. And it should be edited with collaboration from the person being interviewed. You sit down, you look at the entire interview, and you go over it together. We're going to cut this part because we only have X amount of minutes on national television, and we need to trim it. So we're going to take this and this out. What do you think? No, I don't agree. I really want them to hear that. Okay, no problem. Let's go through. What area? Because it is important that when a person agrees to an interview and takes the time out of their schedule for an interview, for that journalist to make money off of this interview. So the person who's interviewing is making money, and the company for which they work for is making money to enlighten us, to entertain us, to educate us. So if there's money being made and people benefiting from this, then it needs to be mutually beneficial. But these interviews that I've seen lately, they're harassing, the journalists are harassing, they're interrupting before the person makes their point. So different people have different ways of expressing themselves. Some people take longer than others to make a point. It just depends on the question. It depends on the person. It depends on what kind of a question. A lot of things have to be considered. The same thing goes in court. This is the same tactic that judges and attorneys use in court for people who are there defending themselves because they're not properly represented. Neither the children nor the parents from whom they have been taken. There's a lot of disorganization going on in court. And I do believe from the bottom of my heart, I believe that the reason why our politicians and our government, the president, whomever may be, and associates, I do believe that the reason why they don't get involved with DHR, from the governors to the senators to the congressmen, president, vice president, and the staff members in the White House and in Congress, I believe that the reason why they don't get involved with DHR and or CPS is because they don't want to step on our judges' toes. Our American judicial system has been corrupted for a long time. People have not been properly represented in court. They have not been heard in court. Decisions are made very hastily for the benefit and profit of our corrupt judicial system, which benefits judges and associates. And these very judges are asking for a raise. They already make over $200,000 a year for making decisions that are life-altering, not only for the people who are in court, but all family members of that household. And I may be a single parent, and I may only have 2 children, but they are my family. For my mother and my stepfather did not stand with strength and courage because they lack faith and understanding of God. But I am my Father's daughter. I fear no man. And I say that if God has given you most intelligence to attend law school, to be privileged above the rest, to be a unique breed of individuals blessed with intelligence and courage, then you must use it wisely to properly represent and defend those who cannot. Those who are disabled, either physically or mentally. Those who have been wounded, physically or emotionally or mentally. Those who are poor. Those who cannot speak. It is your duty, your moral duty, to use your God-given gift to bless others, to properly represent and defend them in court with fairness. Because you have been gifted. People here in America make minimum wage that is unbelievably low. And this has caused a chronic poverty throughout this country. And it has gone downhill because it was not properly addressed at the proper time. But now is the time to redress. If we have courage and strength to ask our federal government for a raise for our American judges who make over $200,000 a year, then we also have the strength and courage to ask our government to increase our minimum wage salary throughout the nation. I believe that people have a right to seek refuge if they have been wronged by a system. We are the United States of America. Each state is unique, and we work in unison, so we say, but each state is unique and different one from another. United, yes, because in God we trust. If an individual or a family has been wronged in any particular state, and they feel they need to seek refuge elsewhere, and they lack the means to leave the country, they should be supported by another state who is willing to lend them a hand. We, here in America, the United States, we welcome people with open arms oftentimes. People seeking refuge from wars. But we are fighting an ugly war here in America, and we have been fighting it with a domestic enemy that takes rights away from American citizens and has kept them in chronic poverty without being able to better themselves, better the quality of their lives or their children or their children's children. Or a DHR system which targets people whose parents have been in the system. And if we take a good look, it is a generation curse. The children of the children of the children are being targeted because that initial parent was in the system. Our system is all based on algorithms that can easily be altered by anyone. So anyone can be a victim to our own technology terrorism. President Eisenhower warned us about this in his farewell speech. War is not only a physical war. There is such thing as a psychological war. And it is equally destructive. Journalism needs to learn the basics. Treat people with dignity and respect. If you're not interested or you don't respect the person or the people whom you are interviewing, then by all means, don't do it. Don't take on a job that you despise. Do not take on a project that you don't like. Do what you love and love what you do, and do it well. If you don't like a president or a person, don't interview them. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has their truth. Everybody has the right to be. People come here to this country and recreate themselves, leaving behind debt, leaving behind poverty, leaving behind disorder and war and desperation. And they are given a free state for them. They're given a clean slate, the opportunity for them to recreate themselves, to be who they want to be, because this is what America is all about. So let us not take this opportunity away from our own people, young and old, military, veterans, Native Americans, black and white, gay and straight, rich and poor. Let us stop the mockery, because mocking one another is not going to lead to your success. So whatever you do, do it well. Do what you love and love what you do. And remember that in America, in God we trust. So let us lead with our faith, whatever religion you are or lack of it. That is your freedom. Thank you.